Hey guys, Ryan Gilwell here with Hunt Primitive. I'm pretty excited about this FlintKnapping Friday because I've never napped this before. We're going to be napping crystals today. So my buddy Jacob Bradenbach, he does a lot of flint napping work for me, helping me keep up with orders, but him and his dad drive around all over the country and visit in different places, and they stop at about any rock and gem shop possible and pick up stuff they can nap. And so he found somebody that had a whole bunch of like broken ends. You know, people have been collecting those long crystals and digging for them, and so they got all these broken ones, and he's been napping a few, and he brought me a couple bifaces and preforms to play with, but then he also gave me a few of these to work with, and I've never napped it, so I don't know if it's going to be super hard like quartz. I don't know if it's going to break more like glass. It kind of looks like a smoky glass to me. It's, you know, I'm curious to start hitting on it. I have no idea how this stuff's going to work, so I'm probably going to bounce back and forth between antler tools and copper tools because I kind of just want to get a feel for how it works. But I'm kind of digging this one. I think I got a nice platform to start, so I'm going to try to just immediately thin this out. Now the hope is if I can get a couple arrowheads out of these, then maybe next archery season I'll take it out and I'll do some deer hunting, maybe shoot a deer with a crystal point, because that would be pretty darn cool. So only downside is I think it's kind of just going to look like glass, which isn't the end of the world, but at least I'll know it's crystal and not glass. So anyway, all right, well, let's get smacking on these. All right, dust my glasses off here a little bit. I'm starting to get a little older, having to wear glasses to start seeing a little bit, but I guess that's just normal. And I wear contacts, so I wear contact lenses and magnifying glasses anymore. But all right, I kind of don't know what I want to start on that, but I think I want to take a couple gentle hits. I just want to see how it breaks because I don't really know how hard to hit it. I don't know if it's soft, if it needs a big hit. I have no idea. Maybe I'll... Oh, that snapped easy there. Okay. Just tinkering around with it. Well, that's really cool. That's really cool. I'm sure you guys aren't going to be able to see a whole lot, like seeing through it, but you can see it's got... It's textured differently than glass. Like completely different. I don't know. That's really neat. I don't even know how to explain it. It's almost grainy. Ooh, it's got a good sharp edge on it though. That ought to be really nice. Very sharp edge like glass. Yeah, you can shave hairs off your arm with that. It's very glass-like. Okay. Well, let's try thinning it then. Maybe I'll grab an antler billet and try to hit one with that. But now I gotta hunt it down because it's right in front of me. It's looking right at the dang thing. I kind of want to see how antler feels. Maybe just remove a little flake somewhere. If I had a whole bunch more of it, there we go. Okay. Well, we could make just like a little chipped out one out of that one. That would be good, like a kind of like a Madison sort of point. I'll save that one. That's a sharp little bugger. Okay. I kind of want to just grab a hold of it and really thin this thing, but at the same time, I don't know how easily it breaks, so I'm just a little cautious moving forward. Plus, if I can wait for it and get a couple extra pieces out of it, that would be ideal. Okay. Yep, I could probably get a little tiny arrowhead out of that one. That would be neat. See, it's kind of like a smoky color. All right. I think I will. I said I just kind of want to preserve as much of it as I can. And I don't know if I'm going to get a better... Well, that is a sharp little guy. I don't know if I'm going to get a better response out of the copper, so that's why I... There we go. Oh, that's really pretty. I don't know if you guys will be able to see it, but it's got the, like, the prismatic... Got the rainbow thing going on. I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but when I see it, the way I'm looking at it with the lights above me, it's shining a whole bunch of colors through that. That's really cool. Man, that is, yeah, especially back here. Don't know if you guys can see that. I hope you can. It's like I hate to waste even this. I mean, that is a stupid sharp flake. I just don't know what I could really do with that one. Kind of hate to waste it though, but this stuff is really sharp. Really sharp. We're getting her thinned down though, so taking these pieces off, I'm hoping... I would like to just almost work everything off of this side, and I'll have just one really nice flat side to work with. But I think I'm going to have to biface off this side as well. And even if all I had was this, that's plenty for an arrowhead. I wish I was brave enough to really set up and hit this and actually try to cut this thing right in half. That would be really nice if I could do that. I don't think I'm daring enough to try to really split it, but I'm going to try to take a pretty decent... Nah, it's kind of... I'm just worried I'm going to end up ruining the whole piece because I'm trying to get greedy with it. So I'll just choke down on it a little bit. I'll remove some little flakes as I go. That one wasn't big enough to use. Naps very nice. Really does. Maybe a braid here a little bit. Yeah, it's got a neat, like a neat color in that. It's like a little smoky, almost a little bit of a brown tinge, smoky brown. So yeah, I'm just kind of working around it, just gently thinning and bifacing, and I'll explain a little bit more as I get going here. I guess I've just been sitting and enjoying the process of hitting a new rocket. I'm not terribly chatty about it, but I think I might zoom you guys in here just a tad, so maybe you can see what I'm doing a little bit better. How's that? All right, I'll start walking you through what I'm doing. Seems very similar to glass overall, but it is different, like the way that it breaks. But it's about as hard as glass, I would say. So it doesn't need a real strong hit. Try and grab a little smaller bopper. So just looking at various platforms, and all I really want to do is just start thinning this thing down. So really just working through it on the same principles as the beginning flint knapping video. So looking at my center line, My platforms are over on this side, so we're going to lay that down to remove the flakes off this side. Nice little flake there. There's one there, there it came. I feel like this stuff kind of needs braided pretty good in between hits because that edge seems to crush pretty easily. I think I need to start being a little bit more aggressive. Like it's like this is what I see people do when I'm watching them flint knap, that they're worried about breaking the piece, and so they're not really being aggressive enough with it, and then the piece ends up thick, and I'm being shy on it because I've never worked this rock, and therefore I don't really want to break it. But I do have a little bit more. And then a few other little bifaces like this that he brought me. So I'm sure I'll get a couple points. But I feel like just taking my time and going slow is the way to go. But I also need to be able to hit this thing with enough confidence that I'm not wasting my time and just ending up with a clunky piece. I need to thin this thing. And I get a lot of... you can see more like 90-degree edges on this side. Yeah, I'll probably work through mostly with the copper on this one, just till I kind of understand what I'm working with this, and then maybe we'll do another crystal point someday, and I'll just use the antler tools. But I mean, overall, I think we got a pretty good handle on it. I'm gonna do a little bit of indirect work on the big end side here. See if I can be very direct with some of these hits. I don't know. I'm not really loving that either. I guess I need to... Overall, I think I just need to treat it like obsidian and stop worrying about it so much. Nap it like obsidian, and I think we'll be just fine. Being too cautious at times, so time to just amp it up here a minute. Let me get in my zone and work through it, and then I'll probably be able to explain a little bit better. But I'm still just trying to zigzag back and forth and get some of these weird angles off of it. It is definitely, it's like at times I find that it is harder to break than obsidian. So I'm actually having to put a pretty good hit on it at times. But when it does break, it does seem to break like obsidian. Boy, wish my pants went down a little bit further there. That one hit me right in the ankle. That stuff's sharp. To sacrifice that tip a little bit. There we go. Kind of getting it worked out a little bit. All right. Yeah, I've been so shy with hitting it. I'm worked all the way around it, but I'm pretty thick, right? See how thick I am on that? So I just need to be a little bit more aggressive now. So, all right, let me reset and get that chip out of my shoe. I'm a little slow starting on this one. Alright, we'll try to amp it up here a little bit. I said that, I don't know, a couple times now. I don't want this to end up being boring for you. I'm going to raise this back up because it's, I mean, we're good and flat on this side, but I got so much roundness here I got to get out of. And the only way we're going to do that is to raise the platform. So I'm going to raise this up, which I'm already kind of looking at this as probably going to be the base of my point, but it doesn't matter. It's just where I'm looking. So I'm going to raise that platform up. So I'm going to chip down this way and raise this platform up so I can really get some good thinning flakes now going that way. Got one there. I am finding it to be a little difficult to nap, like especially now we're getting down to this size. I don't have a lot of room for error in it. Like, it breaks easy, but it's also kind of brittle, and so therefore it crushes and step fractures like crazy. There you go. See if you can see that. It's like on this side right here. See, it's just getting like 3 million little step fractures everywhere on it. So it seems like good hits clean it up, but every little choppy hit that I take, it's just like crushing it. Alright. Yeah, a lot of, there we go. A lot of failure to travel. So as long as I'm hitting it with a little bit of authority, it seems to travel. If I don't hit it with a lot of intent, it's really crushing out heavy on me. And that abrading seems to be really important on this rock too. Whoop. See, that's just doing that crushing business on me. Just crushing. I'm gonna try something else. I'm just not liking that tool. There we go. Freehand axis billet. We got a good bite on that. You know, some rock, like Tallahassee quartzite, for example, I have to look around and see if I have another one. That would be a good thing to do a FlintKnapping Friday on. Would be a piece of Tallahassee. There we go. Some rock like that just works better with antler than it does copper. Like, it's really hard to get something out of it with copper, but antler just grabs it perfectly. And I'm starting to wonder if this crystal isn't a better worked with antler as well, because we're definitely getting a little better flakage. Okay, boy, it's getting down size wise though, so it's like I got to be really strategic on my thinning flakes. And I'm kind of got some concavity going right here, so I can't really, this platform's already super steep, and the fact that it's concave, if I hit it, it's going to step fracture really bad into there. And so I'm kind of stuck in that spot. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and switch to antler, and I think I'm feeling a little bit better. It's like hard but brittle, so hard to explain. Other than it's really not wanting to act right. feel like it's my first day on the job. Holy cow. Okay. Here we go. I think we got a platform here I can use. Oh yeah. Boy, that was sharp. Whew. Just like I could feel it going through and cutting a little bit of skin right there. Really thin little flake came off. Really don't want to be breathing this stuff in either. It's like napping obsidian. So I'll I think because of that, I hate to do it because it's noisy for you guys to hear on the video, so I end up turning like air conditioner off and all that kind of stuff. Hopefully it isn't too noisy, but I'm gonna put that fan on. I really don't want to breathe this stuff in. I normally, when I do nap inside, I've always got a fan going and then the air conditioner that's got a suck and return on it, so it's not getting, we're not getting a lot of dust, but it's really still in here right now because I'm trying to film so y'all can hear it. And I think I'd rather run that fan and have y'all listen to it than me feel all scratchy and miserable after breathing this stuff in. Okay, got a decent little platform here. I think we'll go ahead and try to drive this one across. I'm gonna find that edge that fits. Kind of crushed on me again. Thought we had a understanding here with the antler that we weren't gonna have any more of those issues. I got a really, like a big, there it is, kind of a big troublesome flake that was on the edge, but we got that. That took that concavity out, so not all of it. There's still just a little bit right here, but we took out quite a bit. Don't really want that either. If I'm going to use that tool, I prefer the hammerstone to grind with. I always feel like I know what grinding with the hammerstone feels like when I get the antler. If I use the modern abrader with antler, a lot of times it abrades too hard. That is some tough platforms I have to work with. I'm gonna roll crush that platform up. That's where I just told you I kind of crushed it again. So this gives me some new platforms to work with, and I'm starting to like it a little bit better now. So I think we're gonna do a little indirect to maybe try to pull some of these off. Let's see if we can get a good flake or two with it. It's decent. Decent little flake. It definitely likes to crush. If you don't get a real good bite, that edge will crush on you. It's a lot tougher than I expected it would be after the first couple hits. It is pretty though, because it's got, as I'm working it, I can see all that rainbow stuff shining through. Again, just kind of went in there, it kind of stopped and crushed on me a little bit. I'm gonna try to make a new platform if I can, but I mean this thing is really getting me now. There we go. Got a little bit better. Freehand seems to work pretty decent on it. So this still got this flat spot right there going, and I've kind of thinned the majority of it out, but every time I keep working on it, like, it's crushed all up into here, and it's crushed all up into here, so I'm at like and it's a little bit concave right here still, just a little, and I've got really good material, so I don't want to end up crushing down into that and having to clean that up. So it's really just being a dang pain in the butt is what it's being. Maybe I'll try to crush into that concavity a little bit. Yeah, I mean, it's all it does is it like crushes and gets like a million little micro fractures right there. I think it'll be fine once we can get through and get a couple good platforms set up. Maybe I'll be able to come back through and really clean up all that crushing, but see, obsidian doesn't really do that. That's where I'm starting to see a real difference here, is the obsidian doesn't just crumble like that. It's definitely interesting. Alright. There we go. That was a nice flake that got rid of the majority of that flat spot that we had. And then there's a little flake behind it. Let's go ahead and get that one. I may try some copper on it again. It's like I'm just back and forth with it doesn't want to act right with anything. Till I really figure out what it is I'm... Okay, well that was a good hit. So if it ain't broke, then don't fix it. Let's switch back and forth. See, I don't mind switching back and forth if I'm learning a new rock. Normally if I have it in my head that I'm either napping abo or I'm napping modern, it doesn't matter to me. It's I just usually stick with one and don't intermix them too awful much. Alright, we're getting some good flake travel with that. Okay. So, just finding the right tool. I guess right up until it doesn't anymore. Okay, now I feel a little bit better about that. Okay. So, now I'm going to try to grab on to some of this stuff that's already crumbled on me, but I got a nice little platform right there. See, it's already over to this side, and I think I'll be able to run a nice little flake into there. I'm hoping. I gotta thin this thing quite a bit. Oh, it made it worse. Oh, it went all the way in. It just dug in, and it broke. It didn't travel. I'm gonna leave this crystal a pretty bad review on Yelp, I think. Do not recommend. Well, we'll keep working it out. We're getting closer and closer. There's still plenty of material here for an arrowhead. I think I just need to be very cautious. This side is super flat. Like, it's really nice. You can see how flat that is. This side's the side that's got the rounding. So, and I did run that spot right there, but I think even by the time I make the arrowhead, that'll be at the edge. It'll clean itself out. So we just need to think about this intelligently. I've got plenty here on the sides, and this is flat. So, the most logical thing is to just build these platforms. So, sacrifice that width because we don't need it anyway. Go about like that, and solely chip this way to raise the platform so we can run across the back. That's what we're going to be up to. So let's do that then. Alright, so we'll go ahead and sacrifice that some width, just to roll those platforms up. Now I want to be careful because this stuff seems to love to crush. So I'm actually trying to remove flakes rather than intentionally crush, where a lot of times you'll notice that I'm actually just crushing it. But since this loves to do things I don't like it to do, I don't actually want to crush it. I want to remove flakes, which the copper seems to be doing pretty good. Trying to not crush. A nice little platform developing right next to that spot that I crushed previously. Okay, we chipped kind of through that. We'll take just a really quick break to mention, so when people ask where to get this stuff at, you can get rock and tools and combo kits, anything that you'd need for flint knapping at huntprimitive.com, which we'll put a link down in the description. And it doesn't matter if you get from us or you get from somewhere else. That doesn't really matter. What the really important thing is that you're putting your hands on some tools and on some rock, and you're getting to work making some stuff and having a ton of fun. You know, every different type of rock is going to have different characteristics, things that it likes. And that took me a long time to understand, and unfortunately I think a lot of times new flint knappers, I've heard it a little bit, not a whole lot from the business side, a little. I remember when I was younger, I remember getting rock and then thinking that it wasn't good, like that there was something wrong with it, like, oh, I just don't like this rock, or this wasn't properly heat treated, or, I mean, I was getting it from guys that knew what they were doing. And I thought that all rock just was the same. Like, you just, if it was heat treated, it would all act the same. And that's really not true. It likes different tools, and it likes different pressure and different techniques. And that can really only be gained through time and experience. And so now when I hear people say, well, this material isn't good for this, or I don't like that. And it's not that it's not good material. A lot of times it's phenomenal material. Like Georgetown's phenomenal example. There's some people that just say they do not like to nap Georgetown, which I think is absolutely crazy, because Georgetown's like the best, easiest chert or flint, I think, to nap, period. I just think that stuff's amazing. And then, but some people that are really used to napping like a heat treated Pedernales, which isn't very far away at all, but it's it's harder, and then it's heat treated, they tend to not like the Georgetown just because the Georgetown acts differently than the Pedernales. But if they learn to use the slightly different angles and tools on the Georgetown, then they wouldn't have a problem with it. And like heated Georgetown to me is kind of pointless, so Georgetown doesn't need heat. In fact, I've seen more Georgetown ruined with heat than I have than benefits. Typically, it even at like 400 degrees, it's got to be some pretty grainy Georgetown, which is kind of rare, to actually have heat benefit it. More times than not, you end up ruining it. There we go. All right. So we sacrificed that edge to sacrificed our side to side to raise those platforms, which has now given us nice platforms to thin the tips, and that's looking really good now. So I think we're kind of onto it. We're getting it sorted out. I just wanted to be careful I don't make a mistake here and get in a rush and then end up crushing and ruining a platform because I'm rushing. So back to that rock talk just a second. If the definition of insanity is to keep doing the same thing and expecting a different result. So if you're nap. Oh boy, I had an overshot, and boy, that cut us a little short. It's a little bit narrow. It's not over. I mean, I don't mind them a little bit narrow, but that's starting to get a little closer to where I didn't want it, because it overshot all the way and it just nipped that whole corner off. Huh, that kind of stinks. Well, let's just keep going. But anyway, definition of insanity: keep doing the same thing expecting a different result. So if you're flint knapping and a type of rock you're not used to using or whatever, and you just keep bashing it and it keeps breaking, that just means you need a different tool or a different approach, and then you need to problem solve that out. And it's not that the rock's not good, you just have to come at it with a different approach. Just like I was talking about, you know, Tallahassee is not a bad rock. You just got to know how to work it. So it takes a little bit of time, but if you go rushing through everything, and just, if your best tool is a hammer for everything, and you're just like, well, if it doesn't go, I just need a bigger hammer, well, then you're just gonna continue to break the rock. So you got to stop and think and really be methodical about what you're up to. See, like if this was a piece of Georgetown or obsidian or something that I would have knapped 1,000 of each by now, then I would have probably already had this piece done. But I'm still learning how this rock reacts. And then I'll put that in the memory bank. And I come back and nap another one, I'll be even better. Okay, I think we've got about everything we can indirect off of that done at the moment. Hit all my platforms, so now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to, instead of crushing it into shape, we're going to keep removing flakes, flaking it into shape, and then raising more platforms. But we're not too far off of it now. Okay, you can see we're still a little bit thick, and I'm raising this platform. I'm removing here to shove it over to this side, so we can remove a little bit more of that. I really wish we wouldn't have had that overshot. That would have been nice if it was up in the middle section or something, but since it's towards the back, it cost us a little bit of width. I mean, it's still plenty big to hunt with. I just had a particular size and style I had in mind, and that just made it a little bit more difficult, but we'll probably get it still pretty close. And I think I can go ahead and indirect a little bit more. That's a little bit concerning though, because if I overshot it again, then we're in trouble. So I also don't want to be scared to hit the rock, because then that's when it crushes. So I think I just have to be confident in it. And I definitely have to prep. I have to prep that edge a little bit more than I do with most rocks. That platform has got to be really well established if I don't want it to crush. Ooh, that was close, but I dropped it. That was a nice one. Okay. Nice having that fan on. It's blowing that dust right off to the side here. Should have hit that a little bit more aggressively. It wasn't bad though. Just didn't go quite as far as I wanted. That worked good. It was just past center. A sharp burr over there. Gonna get me. Alright, I'm just working down that same platform. It was a crush that I did earlier, that one where I hit it and I thought I was going to go and it didn't, and I said, oh, I made it worse. That's where I just went through and I just got rid of almost all of it. Not all of it, but close. I knew we'd have another chance at it once it got a little more narrow. So you can hear that I'm not crushing again. Taking clicks off. I'm taking flakes. I don't really want to crush that edge on this thing. Got just a couple good flakes on this side I can hopefully remove just with pressure. And that's where that overshot came over. So it left me with a funny angle that I don't particularly love. I was gonna do a side notch on this, but now as I had that overshot and narrowed that base, I may end up going back and doing more of a corner notch on it. I guess I need to reposition a little bit. I'm working off camera here. It's like what I really want to do is I just want to crush this thing, and I know that I can't. Making less mistakes now, so that's the important part. It was a nice flake. Yeah, a little thicker back here than I wanted, but I really don't want to sacrifice much more width, and I don't want to sacrifice a lot of length either. But I do need to thin that base down just a bit, so we're gonna sacrifice some of it. I mean, still gonna be plenty big into a hunting point. I mean, we could make a little Madison and still shoot stuff with it just fine. I just really wanted a little bit bigger and nicer point than that. Alright. Now we've got to really try to get a couple good ones here to thin this center section where we had some of those early crushes. Boy, it is not going very good. Not going well at all. Did I get it? Did I get it? And got some of it. Definitely got some of it. Probably enough for that side. So I was really wanting to shoot for like a Crystal Cahokia, and I still might. Let me climb in on it just a little bit. That sounds pretty good, doesn't it? Crystal Cahokia. Maybe we should. Cahokias were a little smaller anyway, so that's pretty good. Maybe we should go ahead and stick with that idea. If I can finish that out and do a Crystal Cahokia, that would be fun, right? There we go. That took a pretty good hit to get that one. I'd say I'm being shy with it because I don't want to snap this thing in half, but I also know it's not making those flakes travel if I don't hit it with authority. So I'm kind of, me being overly cautious about it's actually put me in kind of the bad position. There we go. Knocking stuff around. Alright, we're getting pretty darn close now. Okay. There we go. All right, let's try to pressure flake through, and if I need to do a little more indirect, we can do that. But try to get positioned back up here on the camera so you can see what I'm doing good. Take another sip and we'll finish this guy out. A Crystal Cahokia. Sounds pretty nice. So I'm still even though I'm trying to just not trying to grind it into shape, but I'm trying to flake it into shape. I'm still being mindful of some of the higher spots that I have, so I'm still being strategic. I'm napping in particular directions because I'm trying to build platforms, so when I come through and make another pass, I'll abrade it off, and then I'll be able to run those either hard pressure flakes or more indirect percussion, just depending on how severe it is. If I can get it at this point with pressure flaking, then I think I'd rather do that and avoid either overshooting it or avoid being too shy on the hit. I'm not too shy to press with the pressure flaker, so I think we'll be okay there. I don't think I'm going to overshot pressure flaking. As long as I can get the flakes to travel, I'll feel pretty good about it. Grind that thing away from me. And again, I'm grinding, or I'm abrading away from the direction I actually want to remove flakes. There we go. That should have been a good one there. Stop and abrade a little bit more. Now is where I got to put a little more pressure. That was a good one. That ran just about to center, so it thinned us just a little bit. There we go. I think that there's a big point out of Spain, I think, it's made out of quartz crystal. You've probably seen that, like a big paleo looking point, maybe. I don't remember exactly what. No, you know what? I think it was a dagger that they even had with a piece of handle. It was really beautifully napped out of, I think they called it quartz crystal. I don't know if this is quartz crystal. I don't know if it's crystal, something I'm not that familiar with. I don't know how that's really classified. I think it just like it grows more than it's formed. I don't really know. That's a good question for my geology buddy Donnie Wilkerson. He would know, and I'm sure that there's several of you that know more about it too, and you'll comment, and that's good. So then you'll be able to teach me something more about crystal that I don't really know. All I know is it naps pretty okay once you get the hang of it. Alright, I got a pretty long flake I'm going to try to run. That was pretty decent. Wasn't quite as far as I wanted it to go, but yeah, that one was a good flake. I didn't think it would be, but it was. Alright, now I gotta come switch sides. I gotta really start cleaning it, cleaning up the shape, because right now you can see it's still a little bit too round. So Cahokia is gonna be really triangle, but that's how I like my hunting points anyway. So I mean, it's just my normal process of really straightening out those edges, having that really very direct triangle tip geometry is really good for penetration. Just being cautious. I don't want to do any more of that crushing stuff that I can't fix at this stage, because that would be really ugly on this really clear point. That would be really ugly, and then also make it harder to sharpen. And this is normally that time where I would just be crushing it into shape. You can hear it's crushing a little bit there. I don't want to do too much of that. Seems okay though. As long as it's not step fracturing, which it's not, then I don't mind. Okay. Now I'm going to abrade just kind of straight down the edge. Just dolling it up a little bit so I can start cleaning. Clean the edge and chipping it into shape. So just going back and forth, up and down. And then when I get to a spot, like there's a spot right here, I really want a longer flake to go. So I have to flatten it out just a little bit more anyway, so I'm going to raise that platform. Just still trying to take some of the roundness out of it. So if I have to sacrifice a little bit anyway, then I might as well raise a platform so I can hopefully get over across this last little hump that's here that I just crushed instead of... Oh, come on, I just did it again. Now I got 2 step fractures. Right. This stuff's fun, but it's also aggravating. It's fun to work something new, but... Like if that was obsidian, I'd be able to just push right through that. Like I already know that I could get on the top side of this, of that step fracture, and I could grab a hold of that and just boom, knock it right off. And this is just feeding right down into it. It's a little tougher for sure. Not going to be my best looking point. That really fed into that same, because now all I'm doing, so all these flakes now, they're going right into that same step fracture, so now I have a whole line. But at this point, I might as well develop it so maybe I can get up under it and pick it off from the back. But we'll do that in a little bit. I'm not quite there yet. And honestly, it could stay on there. I mean, for a hunting point, it's not the end of the world for that step fracture line to be there. But it still bothers me because I like to make nice things and I like to shoot deer with nice things. Getting there. A little tougher on this, that I can't just crush it and then come back and take one last row of flakes. It's just not working with this, so that's just patient. It's up one side, down the other. Just removing a little flake here and there. And you see it's starting to really straighten out though. And honestly, it'd be very, very nice if it wasn't for that one little goof up spot. But like I said, at the end of the day, the deer's not going to know any difference if it's got a little tiny step fracture row. There we go. Alright, that's looking pretty decent. Still not loving that line of step fractures. But we've really got it ironed out now into the Cahokia preform stage, and you can see right there, that's the spot that's making me upset. I'll grab a micro flaker here. I'm gonna see if I can. I'm actually gonna try to abrade those a little bit because I know how this stuff likes to crush. I really don't want to abrade them crazy because I don't want to lose my platform. I don't even know if there's a platform I can get on there. There might be one right there. There we go. I got one little piece off. You know what, too? I think we might get lucky, or it might really ruin us. When I start doing the notches in, if I am very strategic about my notching by the time I get to here, and if I pressure flake this way in the notching when I get right up to it, and I build that platform, I should be able to get a hold of it and actually remove it during notching. But that's going to be tough. That's going to be tough. But I think that's kind of where we're at this stage. Is we're getting ready to start notching. Oh man, I didn't even think about how difficult notching is going to be on this stuff. I didn't think about that at all until just now. Just gonna have to be very careful that I don't do too much crushing with my notches. And the reason, part of me wants to notch the other side. Yeah, I can see it's not holding up super well to notching. But the reason that I want to notch the other side that doesn't have the problem, because I want to get a feel for how this works. But I also know I need, I'm going to basically compromise. If I notch it in here and I get a full notch that goes in as far as I want it, it's structurally compromised across here because I've just ate out this much of the material. So if I really need to get on here to try to remove some of this material, that's really going to be, it's going to put me up against it pretty hard. It's already really giving me trouble with it. I'm going to look for a thin copper flaker maybe. I might even need to go sharpen one. Alright, we've got our actual notching flaker too. I kind of sharpened that up while I was doing it, because I was hoping for like a beautiful, if we could have sorted that out, a really beautiful Cahokia, but I mean, the notch is already getting blown out, and I've got the step fracture to work through. You usually don't see me messing them up quite like that, but this rock has been really, really tough to work, so we'll just keep doing the best we can with it. Trying to cut film a little bit here because it's getting a little ridiculous. So I'm just periodically kind of cutting. So I'm periodically just going to cut out a little bit of this because I've spent an awful lot of time trying to salvage this notch. We haven't even started the other one yet, but I'm hoping because there won't be that on the other side, we'll be all right. But I'm getting a little headway. I'm just finding a little tiny platform and removing little tiny ones as I go, and then all of a sudden it opens up like another little platform, like I got one here. Oh, that was a good one. Oh, thank goodness we got a huge piece of it. That's a lot better now. I mean, it's still blown out and it's ugly, but Well, that makes me feel a lot better. We actually got almost all that entire step fracture out of it now. And it was just a nibble at a time because I wouldn't give up on it. Now I just got to be careful I don't make it worse. I'm actually surprised I have not broken it yet, believe that or not. I've been very aggressive. Alright, we finished that notch and it's a little bigger than I wanted it to be, but you know what? That's better than no notch or having a giant step fracture. So it'll be fine. We'll sort it out. It's not going to be as beautifully notched as I would have normally wanted to shoot for. It looks like I did it with antler for as wide as it is. And I mean, that's fine too. Alright, now I got to be careful. And the copper seems to work better than the little steel micro flaker. The steel's like a little, it's too hard, so I'm not getting the flake bite. Huh. It's like a piece of blood or something. Seemed like it came out of my mouth. I don't know what that was. I've been sitting here chewing on myself while I'm doing this. I have no idea what that was about. Let's see. Just got to be careful with it because I have room. I can blow this one out a little bit because I want it to match the other side, but I don't. Last thing I want to do is start getting so crazy with it that I create a new problem or even end up blowing it out more than I did the other side. This stuff does not like to notch at all. I'll try that micro flaker again, but it really does not at all like to notch. That's all it does, is just want to crumble. That's way too hard of a tool. I'm going to end up having to cut a bunch of this film down too for as long as it's going to take me to have to sit and monkey with this. At least I don't have that big step fracture to remove, but I got to play this really slow, just like micro game, until I can find a little platform or create a little platform. I thought I had one there, but it crushed again. Alright, I think we got it on the run now. Yep, there was a nice flake. So I finally got another couple little platforms made. Installing those things out stinks. There we go. Okay, now we're getting into it. I finally got new platforms chipped out, and we're just starting to crush them out again, but that's fine. Ideally, I kind of want one more just because it looks good, but I don't think I'm going to get it. Not without breaking it or spending another ridiculous amount of time on it. Okay, that's pretty alright. Okay. Hard to see all those notches on that clear stuff, isn't it? Alright, so now, whoo, that's sharp on the ledge there. I'm going to clean up the back edge a little bit. Okay, I got a little bit of final edge thinning, at least on this one side. It wasn't too bad, but when I had that step fracture and it swelled that notch, I kind of had to move the whole side in just a little bit to make up for it. It's not too bad. So just thinning that side just a little. That is definitely a tougher rock to work than I thought it was going to be. I'm gonna work this tip, and then once I just about get it there, that tip's doing something kind of curling on me. I just don't like that. That's a little bit better. Alright, so at least we've got the shape and we got it notched, so now we got to sharpen this thing. And I have just about no clue how this thing is going to sharpen, because you know what, it's already pretty sharp still, especially on this side that I just worked. Was that the side I just worked? Yeah, I think so. I'm going to try to use the micro flaker to sharpen it like I normally do. I am just going to be very light, because I absolutely do not want to crush this edge. So in this case, because I already know I can't grab enough of this rock to sharpen quite as aggressively as I do normally, I'm going to do much smaller serrations, which I tell you what, that's the way to go on this stuff. That is sharp. And I'm not trying to really dive and push hard and then hook. I'm literally just doing up and down little flake removal. Very soft. I do not want to crush. I want individual little clicks if I can. That is some sharp stuff though. Oh man, that is sharp. That would eat me up if I ran that across my hand. I would have not guessed that crystal would have been that sharp. I wouldn't have expected it to be that hard, I guess. I don't know what I was expecting. I just assumed it would be like a little softer and clear. And that was it. And it's not. It's really a very hard glassy type stone. Almost there. Almost there. This one's definitely going in the hunting pile for next year. And then I'm going to make a few more. Boy, I got to be careful around this tip. A lot of times I grind those tips. You see, I'll almost kind of grind the tips down. But what I'm worried about is if I do that, it'll actually blunt the tip, because it doesn't like, because it crushes, it doesn't like to chip. Or, you know, whenever I grind it. Usually a lot of times if I take the edge and I just kind of grind that side, it'll throw a whole bunch of little micro flakes the direction I want it to go. And I do not trust it on this stuff. Let's see here. Tip sharp. Edges are very sharp. I'll tell you what, that is absolutely not the most beautiful point that I've made. I mean, it's not bad. It's a little thicker than I normally go with. just a little thicker, not bad. And the notches are a little blown out. I'm absolutely not doing a bezel notch on this. not after what, I don't need a bezel notch, but remember we were going to do a Crystal Cahokia. Yeah, notches are a little blown out anyway, and there's not a chance I'm going to notch this when I don't have to notch it. So I'll tell you what, I think that's it. That was a tough one to work through, and thanks to y'all that have sat through and watched that. That was interesting to be able to work that through with everybody. I learned a lot about crystals. Sad part is it just looks like bland glass when it's done. That's kind of the sad part of it, I guess. I don't know. But that edge is, see, that's really lightly micro serrated. It's sharp. I almost want to cut myself with it just because I want to show you how sharp that stuff is. Man, that is, for those little teeny tiny serrations, that is every bit as sharp as any of my hunting points that have the larger, more developed serrations. That's a nice sharp edge. I'll tell you what, would not be surprised if next year sometime you see me shooting a deer with one of these. I'm sure going to give it a try. We're going to make a few more of them, maybe have well, between some of the flakes I've got and some of the other pieces, if I had a set of 6 of these, I'm going to do it. Alright guys, thanks for watching along. Catch you on the next Flint Knapping Friday.